Welcome to Prepare for Success, Preparation for Study. During this session we're going to cover why study, deciding priorities, preparation for study, that's physical and mental. I'm going to share a top study tip, and we're going to cover a bonus topic, sleep matters. So why study? Why are you at university? What is your goal? What is it you want at the end of the day? What is it you're going to reward yourself with when you put in all this hard work? Now, why am I asking these questions? Well, because motivation is a very important thing to help you get through your studies, to help you realise that you need to work to be successful. You can't just attend classes and not study and expect to be successful. You're going to have to put effort in. You're going to really have to put effort in and be really good at time management. You're going to be balancing several modules, the courseworks, you may have formal exams as well. All of this stuff you need to work on, not just in class but outside of class as well. What is your goal? What's the thing that's going to help you dig deep when things get tough? Because they will get tough. The work will pile up. It's useful to have a goal, to realise that the bit of paper you're going to get at the end of all this when you've been successful, what doors will it open for you? Will it get you the job you want? Will it get you the career you want? Look to the future. Look at what all the effort you're going to put in now is going to help you achieve. What's your goal? What do you want? Why do you want it? What are you willing to do to get it? Summarise up really. What's in it for you? What's in it for you? All this hard work you're going to have to do, all this studying you're going to have to do, all this knowledge you're going to have to acquire. What's in it for you? So let's talk about deciding priorities. In this particular graph, the vertical axis, importance, and the horizontal axis is urgency. When you're deciding priorities, you're looking at importance and urgency. So the bottom left-hand quadrant, we've got not important nor urgent. Next you have not important but urgent, and we'll cover examples of these shortly. Next you have important and urgent. This one may initially seem to be where you want to be, but it's not, and I'll explain that shortly. This is where you want to be, where things are important but are not urgent because you're in control, you're managing your time well, you're putting the effort in when it's required and not just in time. So let's look at these individually. So not important nor urgent. So that's trivia, time wasting stuff. Pleasant activities, things that are fun. All these things are not important and are not urgent, but they can be a distraction. Just like not important but urgent. It's interruptions, phone calls, emails, popular activities, social media. All these things that could be a distraction away from the things that you really should be doing. So now we have important and urgent. That's crisis time. That's deadlines are right in your face. You've left it to the last minute. You're not in control. You've left it too late almost. It's where you have to work through the weekends, work through the evening, whatever, to get something done because of poor time management, because of an emergency you've created yourself perhaps. So all these things together, important and urgent, is not a good place to be. Important but not urgent, that's the zone where your planning is working, you're in control, you're on top of things. For example, you're studying through the trimester, you've got your study plan, you're working on the various modules at the right time, you're looking ahead to when courseworks are due and working on them, building up to when they're due. You're not running about at the last minute, you're in control, you're in charge, it's a good place to be. So let's look at preparation for study. The first thing you should do is, what is the purpose of the session? You don't put in your calendar that 10 o'clock tomorrow morning I will go up and study. Well, what you want to do is have in your calendar, tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock I'm going to study this module, this information in the module. You're going to have a plan and you're going to study for so long. So what is the purpose of the session? What will you study? What materials do you need? So purpose, study, materials. Have it all ready. It's not a case I'm going to study and spend the first half hour pulling the stuff together before you can even start. How long will you commit to in a study session? And if you're going to commit to a time, then how are you going to measure time? Have you got a clock on the wall? Do you have a timer? And how will you know when you've finished studying? What will you achieve? At what point do you realise, yep, that's it, it's time to move on? Another consideration is, where will you study? Now, the university has got a massive number of quiet study places all over the various buildings, including the Student Association building. My suggestion would be, if you're planning to study in the university, find a place that you feel comfortable in and make that your study place for the rest of your time at university. Whether you're a first year and here for 4 years, or third year coming from college and here for 2 years, or you're a master's and here for 2 years as well, find somewhere in the university that you can go to between classes and study, and it becomes your place of studying. You may well be studying in your flat at home, that's all good too, but you will have to study between classes at university as well to be successful. And if you do pick a place to study, what's the lighting like? Is the lighting good? You're not squinting to try and see what you're doing. Again, good light is good for your energy levels as well. It's not depressing, it doesn't put a weight on you. Check out your lighting quality. And then you have your posture. You want an alert body position. You don't want to be slumped over a desk. That is not an efficient way of studying. So look at your posture, look at your chair height, your desk height, whatever area you're studying in. If you're working in industry, your desk and your chair and your computer screen all have to be at a certain level to meet health and safety requirements. So you should really look in the same yourself for your own personal time studying. You could choose whether you prefer music or silence. There's no right or wrong answer here, it's whatever works for you. Sometimes it would be pleasant to have some pleasant background music. Whatever works for you. Try things out to see, point in time in your academic career, you're maybe still trying to work out what works for you best. That's fine. So find things to try out, to experiment with, to see what works best for you. We're all individuals, we all have different ways of working. Find out what works for you. Tailor it for your individual personality and your most efficient way of studying. So you get your study materials to hand, and that includes pens, pencils, paper, calculator, computer, whatever. But how will you manage distractions? Your social media, your mobile, emails, all these things. Perhaps it'd be useful to basically stick your mobile on airplane mode for the time you're studying to reduce distractions. So you know your purpose, you know your end goal, you know how long you're going to study for. You've set up your study location with everything you need. You ready to start studying? What about you? You personally, are you ready? Physically and mentally? Would an athlete start training without a warm-up first? Absolutely not, and neither should you. You're now becoming an academic athlete, so you don't just launch yourself into your studying. You do a warm-up first. So let's look at the physical side. You're going to be sitting at a desk for a period of time. A couple of simple exercises can be useful. Some head half circles, they help to relax neck muscles. They also improve the blood circulation to your brain. Maybe do 6 head half circles just to get started. But very important, do not force your head around. You can also try some shoulder rolls. Just flop your shoulders, rotate your shoulders up and back and around 3 times while inhaling. And then relax your shoulders, letting them fall forward and down as you sharply exhale. Repeat 3 times. And then do the reverse. Then look at the mental side. When you're installing information, you aim to be in a relaxed and alert state. That's known as the flow state, where information is flowing in to your brain. Therefore, you'll find it easier to recall information when you go back into a relaxed and alert state, which can be useful in exams. So you can learn to put yourself in the flow state in an exam conditions. That's when you find all the information that you've been studying flows out again and allows you to get that on paper. So before you start, I suggest, as part of your routine, you've done your head rolls and your shoulder rolls. Then you're looking at deep breaths. So a deep breath, you fill your stomach, your abdomen, and then a long, slow out breath. Basically, you breathe out for longer than you breathe in. Repeat that 3 times and notice how relaxed you feel. Now, this simple little technique can be really useful for getting yourself grounded. So before you sit an exam, maybe before you go up to do a presentation, before you go in for an interview. Deep breaths, free, we all can do them, and they're remarkably powerful. A much overlooked resource, very powerful resource. Maybe do 3 deep breaths, or long slow out breaths, and notice how relaxed and grounded you feel. So now you're ready to begin. Top study tip. Now I mentioned finding your study place. Take some time in it. So maybe next time when you're studying in your study place, the one that's going to be your favourite, the one you're going to use most, take some time to pause and to a wee look around where you are. Look at the area you're in, see what you see, take a note of all the different things, and then maybe pause and become aware of what you're hearing. And then pause again and become aware of how you're feeling inside. Then close your eyes and visualise it. Really get a sense of what you saw, what you heard and what you felt. Because the brain finds it very hard to tell the difference between reality and a very good visualisation, which is a very useful resource. For example, if you're in an exam, I mentioned accessing the flow state in exam conditions. If you're in an exam, you can basically pause, close your eyes, visualise your study place, the place that you were in when you're doing most of your studying, where you learned all the material, and you can get a sense of what you saw, heard and felt, and it's almost as though you're back there in that place, feeling calm, relaxed, alert. All these things you can access just accessing through visualisation. So that can be very useful for an exam, before an interview, for a presentation. Very, very useful. So let's talk about sleep matters. There's a lot of research going on about sleep over recent years. We actually have sleep scientists, and we've learned a lot about how sleep affects your learning and your recall. Simply put, if you have good quality and good quantity of sleep, that means during the day your hippocampus, it's a bit like your brain inbox, like a USB drive with time limited storage, it fills up with new information. And then during deep sleep, the new information is transferred from the hippocampus to your cortex, if you like, your permanent hard drive. By morning, your hippocampus is cleared and ready for action the next day. So you need sleep before learning to prepare your brain for new information. But you also need sleep after learning to transfer the new information into the permanent storage. And also to allow your brain to make interconnections and associations with knowledge you already have. At night, during deep sleep, the brain will replay memories many times at high speed, strengthening the memories further. This can also be why it's good to sleep in a problem. If you've got something you're trying to work out and you can't quite get it, it's useful just to step back and say, okay, that's fine, I'll let my internal Google search continue to work on it, go and do something different, and then go to sleep. You may well find you have an aha moment. Very useful to sleep in a problem. If you have good quality and good quantity sleep, it's a bit like your brain. Imagine your brain is like a dry sponge and it's ready to soak up new information. And then your brain soaks up the information during the day. And after a good night's sleep, the sponge is dry again, ready for new information. However, if you have poor quality and poor quantity of sleep, your brain is effectively a waterlogged sponge and it can't soak up new information. So let's give you 6 tips for quality sleep. First one, probably the most important one, regularity. Try to go to bed at the same time every day. Try to get up at the same time every day, and that includes weekends. And you're looking to get between 7 and 9 hours of sleep. And the science shows mortality risks increase when you consistently get below 7 hours sleep, and perhaps surprisingly, if you consistently have more than 9 hours sleep. So if you spend too long in bed sleeping, it actually also affects your health, increases the mortality risks. So get into the habit of maybe using a go-to-bed alarm. I use a Fitbit, which sets a wee alarm off at the same time every night. It gives me a 15-minute warning to remind me it's time to start winding down to go to bed. So you could set it 15 to 30 minutes before bedtime. As I mentioned earlier, we're all different, so tweak things to suit yourself. The next one, temperature. Aim for 18 degrees centigrade or thereabouts. So wherever you're going to be sleeping, aim for about 18 degrees centigrade. The body actually needs to drop its core temperature to initiate sleep. Next one seems very obvious. Darkness. Darkness triggers the release of melatonin, which regulates the timing of sleep. Before it's time to go to bed, start dimming the lights, get that melatonin flowing, And in the last hour before bed, try to stay away from computer screens, tablets, phone screens. It happened to everyone, right? Basically it's all happened. You go to sleep, you can't get to sleep, you get agitated and you try to make yourself sleep. Of course, it doesn't work. The best advice if you can't sleep is get up. So don't stay in bed awake for long periods of time. If you're still awake after 25 minutes, get up. Do something different. Do something boring. Something you don't particularly enjoy. Cleaning the toilets or doing the ironing or something you don't particularly enjoy. And only go back to bed when you feel sleepy. So by using this technique and this practice, you are retraining your brain to associate your bed with sleep. If you do have a sleep disorder, for example insomnia or sleep apnea, get an appointment with your GP. Do not let that go. Follow up on it and get it sorted. Caffeine and or alcohol. Interesting pair of these. Basically, don't drink caffeine drinks in the afternoon or evening. The science shows that even if you have a cup of coffee at lunchtime, you still have about 25% of the caffeine in your body at say 10 p.m. in the evening. Not great for sleep. So don't overdo it on alcoholic drinks before bedtime. Alcohol doesn't really help you get a good quality sleep. All it's doing is knocking you out, and that doesn't lead to good quality sleep. So if you've ever been in the hospital for an operation and you've had a general anaesthetic to knock you out, you don't wake up feeling refreshed. You feel pretty poor actually. So alcohol doesn't help with good quality sleep. So be careful with caffeine and alcohol when it comes to quality. And number 6, have a wind down routine. It's not often that you go to bed and immediately fall asleep. So in the last 20 to 30 minutes before bedtime, do something relaxing to wind down. Find out what works for you and make it your personal wind down routine. You are training your brain to prepare for quality sleep. So the 6 tips. Regularity. Go to bed at the same time, get up at the same time, even at weekends. Aim for 7 to 9 hours. Temperature, 18 degrees centigrade. Aim for that. Darkness, start dimming the lights before going to bed. Can't sleep, get up. Right? Can't sleep, get up. Do something boring, something you don't particularly enjoy, and only go back to bed when you're feeling sleepy to train your brain to learn how to sleep again. Be careful with caffeine and or alcohol. It can affect the quality of your sleep. And have a wind down routine. So all these things will help you with your quality sleep and therefore help with your learning and recall. Some Sleep Matters reference material, and I'll put these links in the description area below the video on YouTube. Very, very useful. There's very good animations in there, the Sleeping with Science ones in particular, and there's the book at the bottom, The New Science of Sleep and Dreams by Matthew Walker, world-renowned sleep scientist. Very interesting read. Preparation for study. If you have any questions about this session, feel free to email me using the askldc@gcu.ac.uk email address, and I'll get back to you. Thank you very much.